I can't believe you would say that to her. Those were my words to my husband. My voice was sharp, cutting through the tension in the room. He had just told our daughter her dreams don't pay the bills. I watched her face fall. The light in her eyes dimmed. She wanted to pursue an MFA to write and teach. Her dream was beautiful, but he dismissed it. He had always been strict about college. He'd pay only if the degree was lucrative, something that made real money, and I understood his perspective to an extent, but this was different. This was our daughter. I tried reasoning with him. We have the money, I said. We can support her without worry. But he shook his head. His mind was set. He believed in financial security above all. I could see where he was coming from. He wanted her to be self-sufficient, to stand on her own, but I couldn't stand by. Not when it meant crushing her dreams. I offered another solution. I'll support her, I said, even if you won't. He looked at me stunned. This wasn't about defiance. It was about belief in her potential, in her passion. I saw his jaw tighten. He didn't like my decision. But this was important. I couldn't let her feel alone in this. I told her I'd help, that she could chase her dreams, and she smiled, relief washing over her. But it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. He was hurt. He felt I was undermining him, but I had to act for her future, and maybe he would see it eventually, see what it meant for her. I hope he does, because this isn't about money. It's about faith in our daughter, faith that her dreams are worth supporting, even if they don't fit his mold. Was I wrong for stepping in? As I stood there, I could feel the air between us grow colder. My husband, arms crossed, looked like he was trying to swallow a bitter pill. I didn't back down, though. I couldn't. Not when it came to this. Our daughter had retreated to her room, and I knew she needed time to process everything. I wanted to follow her, to reassure her again, but I also felt I needed to stand my ground here first. My husband needed to understand that my decision wasn't about undermining him. It was about supporting her. We need to talk about this, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. I'm not trying to go against you, but we have to consider what she wants to. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I just want her to have a stable future, something reliable. I get that, I replied softer now. But stability can come in different forms. She's got talent and she's passionate. Isn't that worth something? He shook his head slightly, eyes focused on the floor. It's not that I don't believe in her. I just worry. I knew he did. Worrying was practically his hobby. I'm worried too, I admitted. But I'm more worried about what might happen if we don't support her now. She might never forgive us for not believing in her. He looked up, and for a moment, I thought I could see a glimmer of understanding. What if it doesn't work out? Then we'll be there for her, I said firmly. We'll help her find her way no matter what. But she deserves the chance to try. He was silent for a few beats. The tension between us still thick, but I could sense a shift. Maybe it was just a crack, but it was there, a possibility. Finally, he nodded, a small reluctant nod, but it was something. All right, let's see how it goes, he muttered almost to himself. I felt a sense of relief, but also a wave of uncertainty. This was just the beginning, and there was still a long way to go. But for now, I had managed to get through to him, at least a little, and that was a start. We needed to find a way to make this work together, for her sake. And I hoped, as we move forward, that he'd come to see the value in what we were doing, not just for her dreams, but for our family. In the following days, things were tentative at best. My husband and I were trying to navigate this new territory, and it wasn't easy. There were moments when I caught him deep in thought, probably wrestling with his own doubts and fears. I could tell he was trying though, and that gave me hope. Our daughter, on the other hand, seemed lighter. She had started scribbling ideas for her book, her room slowly filling with notes and sketches. It was as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, and seeing her so focused and driven was like a balm to my soul. I knew we were doing the right thing. One evening, as we sat together at the dinner table, the atmosphere felt a bit more relaxed. My husband, still cautious, asked her about her writing. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. She lit up talking about her ideas, her plans. He listened, really listened, and I could see him trying to connect with her passion. It was a start. Later that night, as we washed the dishes side by side, he turned to me. I've been thinking, he said, his voice quiet. Maybe I've been too rigid about this. I looked at him, surprised but grateful. It's not easy, I admitted, but she needs us to believe in her, even if it scares us. We stood there in silence for a moment, the clinking of plates the only sound. Finally, he nodded, a more assured nod this time. I want to try, for her. Hearing those words was like a weight lifting off my own shoulders. We had a long road ahead, but we were starting to move forward together. And as I lay in bed, that night, I wondered, had this all been worth it? Could we really balance dream and practicality? But more than anything, the question lingered. Could we truly support her dreams without losing ourselves in the process? The days that followed were a mix of cautious optimism and tentative steps forward. My husband and I were in this uncharted territory, both trying to keep our balance while supporting our daughter's dreams. It wasn't perfect, but we were trying. I noticed my husband making small efforts, asking her about her writing progress, offering to read some of her work. He wasn't much, but each gesture felt like a small victory. Slowly, we were learning to navigate this new dynamic as a family. Our daughter seemed to thrive in this environment. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and her once distant dreams now seemed within reach. She'd come home from school, her eyes bright, eager to share the latest chapter she'd written or a new story idea that had popped into her head. I cherished those moments, holding onto them tightly. One afternoon, as we sat in the living room, she shared a passage she had been working on. The room was quiet except for her voice, and I watched my husband's face as he listened. There was something in his expression, a mix of pride and realization. Maybe, just maybe, he was beginning to see the potential I'd seen all along. Later, as we cleaned up after dinner, he seemed thoughtful. "She's really good," he admitted almost to himself. I smiled, nodding. "Yes, she is, and she's determined." He sighed, leaning against the counter. "I just want her to be happy, to not struggle like we did." "I know," I said, placing a hand on his. "We're doing what we can. She knows we're here for her, no matter what." The conversation left me hopeful, but there was still that lingering question in my mind. How do you truly balance dreams and practicality? It wasn't an easy answer. As the weeks went by, our daughter continued to pour her heart into her writing. She was flourishing, and seeing her so alive with purpose was a constant reminder of why we had to keep supporting her, even if the path wasn't clear. My husband, though still cautious, had become more involved. He'd started to understand that her success wouldn't be measured solely by financial stability. It was about finding fulfillment in her passion. It was a lesson we were both learning together. And then, one day, she came to us with a proposal. She wanted to attend a summer writing workshop, something that could really help her hone her skills. I saw the apprehension flash in my husband's eyes, but he didn't dismiss it outright. Instead, he asked her questions, genuinely interested in what she hoped to gain from it. After some discussion, we agreed to support her decision. It felt like a turning point, a sign that we were finally finding a balance between encouraging her dreams and addressing our concerns. That night, as my husband and I sat quietly on the porch, I could sense a newfound understanding between us. We were still figuring things out, and it wasn't perfect, but we were moving forward together. And as I lay in bed reflecting on everything, I couldn't shake that one persistent thought. In trying to support her dreams, were we truly prepared for whatever came next? As the days rolled on, it felt like we were finally finding our rhythm. My husband was more open to discussing our daughter's plans, even suggesting some books she might enjoy reading for inspiration. It was small, but it was progress. One weekend, my daughter and I attended a local writers meetup. It was her first time sharing her work with others outside of family, and she was nervous but excited. Watching her stand up in front of strangers, reading her words with a mixture of apprehension and pride made my heart swell. The feedback she received was encouraging, and I could see her growing confidence. When we got home, she was practically buzzing with ideas. She told us about the different people she met, each with their own unique stories and advice. My husband listened intently, asking questions and showing genuine interest. It was like a small bridge had formed between them, connecting their worlds. A few nights later, as we were all gathered around the living room, she announced that she had decided on a title for her book. Her face was a mix of excitement and vulnerability, and I could see my husband's expression soften. "That's a strong title," he said, nodding approvingly. It was a simple comment, but it meant the world to her. As we continued to navigate this new chapter, there were still moments of tension and uncertainty. My husband occasionally voiced his concerns about financial stability, and there were times when the fear of the unknown crept in, but we kept reminding ourselves that supporting her dreams was about more than just money. It was about believing in her potential. Then came the day of the writing workshop. She was nervous but ready, her bag packed with notebooks and pens. As we dropped her off, my husband gave her a reassuring smile, telling her to make the most of the opportunity. Watching her walk away, so full of hope and determination, made everything feel worth it. Throughout the workshop, she called us each evening, bubbling over with excitement about what she'd learned and the connections she had made. Hearing her so alive with passion was a testament to why we were doing this. By the time she returned home, her confidence had soared. She was more determined than ever to pursue her writing, and seeing her so dedicated was both inspiring and humbling. My husband, while still cautious at times, had come to respect her commitment and drive. As we sat together one evening, reflecting on how far we'd come, I realized we were a stronger family because of this journey. We'd faced our fears, confronted our doubts, and found a way to support her without losing ourselves. And yet, as I lay in bed, that familiar question lingered in my mind like a whisper. Were we truly ready for what supporting her dreams might bring?